Hey there folks, it is me RandomJosh and I'm back again with another Face Mask Friday video. And today I've got a little fun kind of look for you inspired by the ever wonderful bPerfect Compass of Creativity featuring every single one of the mini palettes. So if you want to see how I achieved this particular look, then stay tuned. Alrighty there, so starting our tutorial off, of course, by priming the skin. So I'm just using my El Maquillage primer, just to make sure we have a nice, flawless base, ready for a good old-fashioned beading. So just working that into the skin there, and now into my El Maquillage foundation, and just, using my nice, dense buffing brush and just really working that into the skin there, just again to give us that gorgeous base to really work with, you know, giving us a nice beautiful canvas. So yeah, just making sure we're covering all those little spots there. And now time for concealer. Again, El Maquillage concealer. I love this stuff. The matching to the skin tone is actually so good. So yeah, just popping that in my highlights, so a little bit under the eyes and then down the bridge of the nose, all the way down, of course, doing my Cupid's bow there, and then a little bit as well on the chin, and also did some on the forehead just to give that little bit of highlight where the natural highlights of the face would basically fall. And then again, going in with that dense buffing brush and just really working that into the skin there, just making sure it's nice and blended in. I don't want no, you know, visible lines or anything. I want flawless, gorgeous skin. So yeah, just making sure that that is kind of using a bit of a dabbing motion while draping just a slight bit. But the main focus is, of course, dabbing. So you can see I'm kind of dabbing a bit crazily all over the place, but that's just to make sure that it does blend through. So now onto my CYO bronzing stick. This is in fair medium. And yeah, just making sure we have some nice contours in there. Again, this product always looks so crazy. So it does blend out so beautifully, so you know, I always go a little bit heavy-handed just to really create that nice kind of shape and make sure the color really does pop. As you can see there, just a slight bit of, you know, use of the buffing brush, and just again doing that dabbing motion, it's basically blended into the skin. Like, you can still see the kind of shadowy contours that it does create, but it is gorgeously blended into the skin. So I absolutely adore this product for the blendability and, you know, the color payoff. It's intense and it's scary to use, but it is just so gorgeous. So yeah, just really making sure the nose contour is nicely blended and those cheeks and the jawline as well are looking fierce. So now onto my Coty Spun powder. So just a nice, you know, translucent setting powder. And just basically popping that in the kind of main highlights of the face first, because I want that to have a little bit of extra time to kind of sit in and really melt into the skin. And then just, yeah, going all over. So again, if you do go a little bit darker than you'd like, you can always, you know, use this to kind of cancel out some of that, you know, intense coloring. And then using a nice big fluffy powder brush, I'm just buffing off all of the excess powder that is kind of left along. So now onto the CYO bronzer there. This is gorgeous. This is in the shade Fair. So yeah, just making sure that is nicely buffed into that. The kind of main focus of this, of course, is just, you know, deepening what we'd already had there again and just adding a little bit of color back into the skin again after powdering it all out. So it's a bit of a backwards forwards process really, but I'm using Fair just because I didn't want it to be overly dramatic. I wanted to kind of mainly just add a touch, a small touch of just colour, because obviously I am quite fair, so, you know, adding too much of a dark colour can be a little bit off-putting. So now jumping in with the Mod About You palette, and I'm using this middle shade here, which is a gorgeous kind of orangey colour, and it's just, oh, it's so stunning. And the thing I love about these palettes is that, you know, you get one kind of more, I'd always go with kind of natural and wearable, which is that middle shade, but then the other shade in there, the darker red kind of shade, is so wild, and like the little bit goes so far. So now of course we're on to eyeshadows, so just starting off with the Northern Nudes palette there. So I'm taking that shade Sand and just using a nice fluffy blending brush and just taking that across the top lid basically as our transition shade. So just trying to kind of lay a bit of a base down so that when the rest of the colours, they can kind of have something to blend in with. So yeah, just making sure that's nice and worked in. Then we're going in with the gorgeous shade here, Pumpkin. Again, just slowly adding a bit of warmth to the eye, a little bit of colour there, and just, again, kind of following along the crease, but lowering it down to where, you know, slowly basically lowering it down and going darker, essentially is what I'm trying to say. And now with this gorgeous brown shade, this is Oak. And again, just going a bit more onto the lid this time, but still kind of focusing around that crease zone, just to try and get that nice seamless blend. And now we're heading in with the gorgeous shade Golden on a nice little flat brush there, and just basically popping that across the entirety of the eyelid. This shade is actually stunning. Like, this on its own is a gorgeous look. Like, if you did both eyes with this, you're basically winning at life, let's be honest. And now onto the East Emeralds. So taking that shade there, Clay, a bit of a neutral shade, so just working that underneath the lower lash line. So I'm trying to basically recreate a bit more of a actual generic makeup look, but just using a smaller canvas, which is the lower lash line. And now deepening in with the shade Swamp there, and now Forest, just to kind of slowly build up a little bit of colour. Now Forest is quite deep, so you can see there it does go a little bit deeper, so I've gone in with my fluffy blending brush to kind of just slowly but surely add colour, but while still blending it out to keep it a little bit more tame, because again, these shades are a bit clashy, so hey ho. And then of course we couldn't not use the shade Emerald, this gorgeous glittery green just through the main middles of the eye there, just to add a little pop of colour and sparkle, because who doesn't love sparkle? Let's be honest. And yeah, just blending that in again with a bit of a blending brush, just to really make sure those colours are all nice and seamless. And yeah, absolutely living for this. So stunning, nice green shades. Now onto the West Waters. So starting off with the shade Icy, which is a really nice, soft, baby blue kind of colour. Again, this is going to be our transition colour. So just really working that through the kind of bone of the eye, basically. The eye socket, that's the one. I'm trying to remember names of anatomy right now. It's not going well. And now going for the slightly darker shades. This is Sky, and just lowering that more into the crease there, while keeping that transition shade and trying to just slowly buff those two shades together to create a really gorgeous ombre effect. These shades are so nice. Oh. And now we're going in with the shade Blueberry, which is a bit more of a like deeper navy, a little bit close to, you know, a purpler blue, but overall still a gorgeous colour there, and just really working that again more onto the lid, and focusing a lot more on the outer corner as well to give a nice lift. And then of course Peacock, this gorgeous purpley blue glitter there and just working that across the eyelid. And I just kind of keep adding more to it and just building it up, which I love about this. You can still go with a subtle look, but you can, of course, build on the colour and just really add more definition and make it pop, as you can see there. So a lot of me kind of going backwards and forwards and just making sure that it was nice and gorgeous. So now Southern Smolders. Oh, this palette. All of these palettes are gorgeous. But yeah, taking the shade there, Shell, onto the lower lash line and just basically blending that across the entire, well, not blending, smudging it across the entire lower lash line there. Just making sure that it is nice and defined. And then the shade here, Path, focusing that mainly on the outer corner and just slowly blending slightly more into the inner corner, but just really trying to focus on the outer corner and get it as close to the lash line as possible to again create that slightly smoky effect. So now, of course, again, glitter with the shade Quartz there, focusing on that middle piece more than anything and just adding a tiny twinge of glitter. Being on the lower lash line, it's a bit harder to see, but it is there. And then finally taking that shade Petal there, I wanted to try and marry the shades together. So you can see I kind of went into the blue a little bit there, and it was a bit harsh for me, so I went back in with a nice blending brush and just tried to, you know, bring the two shades together as one, which created that really nice shade there. And now we're on to the compass in the middle of the forehead. So I'm just taking the shade there, Oak, just to create our initial north line. Again, these are north nudes, so I wanted to kind of keep the kind of rough patterning in play. And then going in with that shade there, Soil, for our kind of, I guess, you know, the smaller arrows on the compass. Now going in with the shade Swamp, and I'm trying to find shades that kind of match off a little bit nicer. So yeah, using that just to basically create the east line there, as you can see. So just, yeah, making sure that is nice and defined. It is very difficult at times for me, especially. And then going in with that shade Clay, I wanted to add that in with the kind of midline that we've got in between, trying to kind of marry the shades together to create a bit of a wholesome look, basically. So yeah, I went in with the shade Zest there on that next line, and now we're on to the shade Lake Hillier for that lower southern line. So yeah, now going in with Shell, and I'm going to use that to again kind of bring those shades together just to really, you know, create a bit of unity between pink and brown. And now onto the shade Petal, just to kind of again be that mid transitional shade between the two, the western line, which we'll now be going on to. And then using the shade Blueberry, I'm creating that western line there, as you can see. And now jumping in with the more purpley shade there, which is Amethyst. And again, just trying to kind of add a little bit more colour to the middle line there between the two. And now going in with Deep Sea, this gorgeous blue shade, and using that within the transitional piece between the northern and western. And then kind of marrying those together with the shade there, Earth. As you can see, I did kind of go a little bit heavy-handed on the one of the lines, so I did do a little bit of cleanup off camera. So we are now just applying some mascara. This is the Bad Llama mascara by bPerfect. and just basically getting ready for the lashes. And these are the Indigo Rose Queen lashes. Absolutely stunning lashes, I have to say. I live for these. You can see me struggling. I thought I'd, you know, keep the struggles in because, hey, you know, we're not all perfect at applying lashes. And I mean, yeah, it's definitely one of those kind of processes that I go through when doing makeup. I should really use the applicators, but sometimes I get all cat-handed when I use the applicators, so I typically use my fingers just so I can see a little bit better. But yeah, just making sure they're in the good positioning, and then coating those with the mascara there, just to make sure they are kind of, the natural lash is blending in with the fake lash there. So yeah, just making sure that is nice and defined. Really pushing those lashes up as well because I like the volume that it gives. And now brows, of course, are ever famous CYO brow gel. I live for this stuff. Like, this is what I use sometimes when I'm just doing kind of my quote-unquote no makeup when I go into the office. So yeah, just making sure those brows are nice and covered and really defined there. Living for it. I go back and forward a lot with this, I don't know why. And now onto lips. So we've got our gorgeous Morphe lipstick here in single AF. So I'm just, you know, applying that ever so generously. Again, camera angles are so bloody great on me, so you can barely see it, but it is a really nice neutral, nudie kind of shade, which I live for. So now dipping back into that Trixie Cosmetics Mod About You palette and just really going in with that highlight. Oh, it's like a golden highlight and it just merges so nicely with the blush. So yeah, it just gives that really nice glow to the skin. So focusing on the high points of the cheeks, the nose, the upper lip there. And yeah, just kind of continually going back and forward and adding more. And of course, what is a tutorial without finishing off with the ever wonderful Morphe Continuous Setting Mist. Alrighty there folks, so there is the finished look. Oh my goodness, these palettes are gorgeous to work with first and foremost. Now this look, we're calling it a look because it's obviously not like an everyday kind of go out and look like this. It's a little bit crazy, it's a little bit bougie crazy, whatever you want to call it. But each individual palette, I wanted to really showcase some of the potential elements from each one. So I think like using those, you can combine some of them. Like this side, I have to say, the purples and the blues and the pinks really merge well together. This side is a little bit crazy, but like we're working with it. But each on their own, they're beautiful, and combined they can also have potential to be beautiful as well. So it's all about letting your creativity shine and using that compass to really navigate yourself through your creative journey. So I hope that you did enjoy. All products again will be listed down below in the description, so make sure you are checking that out if you are interested in any of the products that were used in today's tutorial. And anyway, thank you again so much for watching, and I will see each and every one of you folks in the next video. Peace out, bitches.